Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And despite the 1 hour long podcast that I did, it seems that I am still obliged to make a part two, but I'm going to make this very short, which usually is the case. Well, as usual, light's been a problem, it's been a pain, but it's back now anyway. So, point being, when it comes to gifts and what the whole point of gifts are, and as I said, people nowadays make it a point to kind of tell you, even though they're probably just not trying to be negative and all, but they're always trying to sort of make you feel as if, you know, that the gift has to be something very expensive in order for it to be meaningful, as I touched upon it in my podcast yesterday. And as I said, actually, the whole purpose of gifts is that they're just supposed to be a token. They are supposed to promote and strengthen friendliness and bonds and relationships. And yet, as I said, contrary to that, nowadays, it seems to promote negativity because there's always somebody who will make you feel as if the gift that you got or the gift that you've given was not good enough. And then they say it with such confirmation, that it makes one wonder, and it makes one feel ashamed or embarrassed and all. So putting people down, as I've noticed, is the norm nowadays. It's a culture thing. So as I said, if you have friends with whom you have a sort of a give and take thing going on every now and then, frequent, infrequent, it doesn't matter. It's between you and your friends, and you enjoy it and you don't mind it and you think nothing of it. Despite the fact that actually we end up accumulating, in most cases at least, we end up accumulating pretty much useless stuff that we can't use, isn't it? I mean, in my case, I know that most of the gifts that I do receive are those that I cannot use. But I make it a point never ever to make them feel that, so for example, if even if it's something I cannot use, if they say, oh, how did you like it and all, and I would always say, yeah, it's amazing, I like it, it's fine. So, if I'm close enough to that person and comfortable enough to say it, then I would say that, yeah, it's amazing, I love it, but I can't use it. So but I still have it but I can't use it. It doesn't fit me, for example, I can't use it and all, but yeah. But and sometimes also, it's a confusion. For example, you get something and you think it doesn't work, and then you just leave it and you think, oh, maybe it's broken, maybe it's faulty, it has a defect or something, and then you pick that thing up again and then you finally realize, oh, it's working. It's weird. Okay, it's so weird because it's happened to me twice at least. There was this necklace that I got that was stardust, and I bought it myself. I ordered it, and when I got it, and I was so angry because for the life of me I couldn't find its lock. Can you imagine? I couldn't find the lock, and I was like, oh great, they gave me a broken thing and I can't find its lock and this and that. It's weird, okay? It's really weird. You know why? Because a few years later, when one day I just picked it up, hey presto, I could see the lock. Yeah. I never used that necklace because I just kept it, because I didn't even bother to return it, but I was so angry, I was so mad that I actually even complained to the seller that, you gave me something that's broken, because it's weird, isn't it? It's so weird. I literally fiddled with that thing for 2 to 3 days and I couldn't find the lock. And then just a year or two later, when I just got it out, I could actually see the lock. And I was like, what the frack? So similarly, you have these bracelets where you feel like they're not locking. Sometimes you have those hoop earrings too. You feel like, oh, they're not giving you that satisfying click. They're not. And you're scared that if you apply a little more strength or force, they can break. But they're actually pretty solid pieces. So when you kind of get enough courage to apply the amount of force needed, and you actually can get that satisfaction where you can hear it lock. And especially with those bracelets that have the kind of classic watches sort of a lock, where you interlock the bracket and then you press it down, into the you press down the latch into that gap, and it you hear that slight tick. Sometimes you have to actually exert force, and then it closes. Yeah, I've also got those kind of bracelets too, because actually abroad, as you would know, in especially when it's in made in Europe or China and all, these solid pieces that are made, that are anti-corrosive and they're supposed to be durable, and then they have silver plating, or they literally are sterling silver, and so they're made to last, and this is why they are very very solid pieces. And so their locks are also not flimsy. Their locks are pretty hard, really, because I've got at least two other bracelets like that, tennis bracelets, and they have the same kind of lock, and it's pretty hard. It's not a very, very it's not that easy to just click it and have, because if it's hard enough that you have to exert a slight amount of force to click it in, then it means it's going nowhere. This is their point of security that they've given it, that it will not unlatch anytime soon. Not even if you want to unlatch it, it wouldn't unlatch so easily. But yes, if you open it the right way, it will open very easily. But you do have to exert a bit of a force to lock it. Yeah. So, I mean, these are the kind of things that we find out when we keep things with us, first thinking that they're useless or they're broken or they're not working, and then we find out, actually, they are working, So, yeah, these are some weird experiences. How many of you have actually gone through that, where it's like you're totally blind, you can't see the thing in front of you, and then after days, months, years, maybe you see that thing, and it's so obvious now when you see it, and you're wondering, how is it I couldn't see it the last time around? So it happens, but it's very strange when it happens. So yeah, when it comes to gifts and all, I never complain. As I said, I never tell people, I don't like it, or or I've given it away to charity because I can't use it, or this or that. No. First of all, in honor of a person giving me a gift, is I would keep it, because as I said, in Islam, you're not supposed to refuse or reject a gift, because it can, make the other person feel bad. Number one. Number two, even if you feel like it's of no use to you, at one point in life, you never know. You might suddenly find out that it was useful after all. For example, you might have something that you think you cannot use. Later on, you find out you actually can use. And this has happened. And because I am a person who has kept things with me without throwing them away or giving them away, mostly, especially gifts, then I do find that even if I've never used that thing before, when suddenly a time comes, I'm actually able to use it, and I sit and wonder, why is it that I could never use it before? And why is it that, I thought it was not workable before? So gifts are all about exchanging something that is from your heart, as I said before. And if you sit and try to tell the other person, you talk about it, and then you say, but I, I'm not the kind to talk, and then you keep on talking, and then you say, but I'm not, and then you again keep on talking, and most of the things that you say is that, you know what, this thing that I got was of no use, and this thing that I got was of no use, and this thing that I got was, as I say, is that all of us get these kind of gifts that we think are of no use, but as I said, in my experience, at one point in life, you find out that they do have some use. So it's actually, I think it's not good form to even talk about it, because I think that even when you think that you are saying it nicely to another person, or that you are just talking to the other person, but actually Islamically, as I said, according to Islamic etiquettes, and even according to social etiquette, what you're doing is basically not good. It's rude, it's offensive. It's like as if you're, you may, as I said, you may not seem as if you're trying to offend the other person, but you don't know how you might end up offending the other person. Unless again you're extremely comfortable enough with that person where you can openly say that, yeah, you know what, this thing that you gave me just doesn't work, and the other person would say I'm so sorry about that. Well, next time, we'll do something else about it, or we'll get something else, and this and that. And you do that usually with families, or you do that with friends you're very, very close to, right? So yeah, again, this is why I would say, especially nowadays when everything is all about financial gains that you can see, and people literally look at gifts too in the way that they shouldn't be looked at. People are looking at gifts as if it has to have some value, or it has to, and another thing that, as I said, is when people diss something. For example, this has happened to me as well, and it's happened to people I've known as well, and I've seen people give cheap ass stuff to other people and then go around saying, oh, we give the best stuff to people, and then they turn around and criticize somebody who's given something that is actually extremely valuable, as in gold, silver valuable, and they say, oh, you gave this, and then you have to remind them that, excuse me, this is real gold or real silver. And then you sit and you think that, oh my God, are people doing this deliberately, or are they really that blind? Are they really that stupid, or are they really that blind? So, I mean, the fact that you wouldn't even that you I mean, there was also this case where I remember, there was this person that I knew who has a habit of giving stuff to their friends every now and then. And if once or twice their friends would give them something, then a third party who doesn't even know anything about their old relationships would say, oh, you know what, they've taken this thing, but I haven't seen them giving anything. Yeah, well, you haven't seen them giving anything because it's not like they're going to do a complete exchange program in front of you, number one. And number two, if you do see them giving something and then you suddenly decide to, you have decided in your mind that this thing that they've pulled out of their cupboard somewhere, and they've given something old of theirs and all, when actually there are witnesses there who have literally gone with them and bought that thing from the market, like literally 1 or 2 days ago, and you're arguing with that person who's actually been with them to the market and got that thing, and you're literally sitting and arguing with them saying, oh no, I know what I'm talking about, because I had this thing like 20 years ago and it's the exact same design, and it's different. Yeah, it's different because now the materials used are different, but it's the exact same design. Just because it is the exact same design, number one, doesn't make it old. Number two, you do realize that there's a reason why we always say fashion repeats, because the same old fashion comes back again and again. And especially when you have these traditional things going on, then you will know that brands, they launch every now and then, they launch their throwback sort of launches where they get all that completely old world traditional embroidery with the nearest possible fabrics that they can find, the best possible fabrics that they can find, and then they make it look exactly like the authentic piece. That, yes, in fact, you could argue they've done a good job if somebody else looks at that and thinks that, oh, this is an old piece. This is a piece from 20 years old. So to the brand, it would be a bittersweet moment, because they would think that, okay, we actually fooled somebody enough to make him think that this is the authentic 20-year-old stuff, but it's brand new and we just made it and we just launched it. So there is that also. But it's funny, I guess it's kind of funny, because especially I know that nowadays, especially as I said, because traditional things are they're back in trend. I know that I specifically sought out and bought a few things that are closest to the original, the original stuff that people had, the traditional stuff, where it comes to fabrics or when it comes to dupattas and stuff. So yeah, we all have. And now, for example, then you look for those big shawls. They're back in trend, by the way. Yeah, those big shawls that our grandmothers used to take when they used to go out. They would have a dupatta on their head, and then they would have this big ass shawl that they would take, and that is back in trend, by the way. And I myself personally, I've bought one for myself and one for my mom, because she was also looking for one. So, and you know why? Again, because as I said, some of these things, they're timeless. They may disappear from your life for a few decades, but then one way or the other, they will make a round back. And it's never a bad thing to have something that is like a huge ass shawl, for summers, especially for summers. These are basically cotton on lawn, gigantic dupattas, so they're like 2.5 by 1.75 sort of a length and width, so, or 2.5 by 1.5, that also works. But my personal favorite is 2.5 by 1.75, because then you literally can wrap yourself properly around. But I mean, these are the kind of ideal things that are coming back. But you know what? Strangely enough, you won't find them in the market around you. It's weird. So these things are trending right now, which means they're back in fashion, and almost everybody seems to be buying them. But if you go to your local fabric market, you will not find them. But if you go online also, you will not find them very easily. Just a few shops that you can find online are actually selling that exact measurement with that exact purpose, that yes, it is a summer shawl, which is also for prayer and for going out and this and that, right? The perfect ideal piece that you're looking for, you will find that only one or two shops, even online, would have it. And then until, of course, you go to those old bazaars, so you see where you have actually always been able to find them, because those bazaars are old themselves, and they will always continue catering to every generation. And so they know that the older generation will always wear those shawls, and so they will always have those shawls, whether they're trending or not. Similarly, you go to those specific fabric markets or bazaars, in your city, where that you will find them, but you will not find them in your regular fabric or cloth markets, right? So this is what I'm trying to say. This is how things, despite the fact that they're trending, why you can't find them. Okay, because they're trending, because literally people who have already had them have decided to bring them out of their cupboards and start wearing them again. And now you go looking for it, and then you can't find it. And then when everybody finds out that, okay, this thing is trending and everybody's looking for it, then manufacturers and retailers and brands, then they all come and then they start manufacturing it, and then you find it everywhere. But by that time, somebody else has removed something else old from their cupboard and, started a new, sneaked in a new trend. So it happens all the time. Because as I said, some pieces are just timeless. Some fashion items are timeless. And that is why we always have these timeless things in our cupboard, because these are things that you can pull out even decades later and they will still be in trend. And that is why the ideal way to have a capsule wardrobe, the ideal capsule wardrobe, or the ideal wardrobe in general, would be to have timeless pieces that will work throughout, despite the coming trends and the going trends, and despite the changes in fashion and all, they will always be in trend, right? And that way you don't have to accumulate so many clothes that you will later on throw into the landfill and add to your environmental waste and garbage. And instead you will have lesser clothes that will last you longer, because they're going to be of very good fabric, they're going to be of breathable organic fabrics, they're going to be of durable fabrics, and they can last you a long time. And so you will only need to buy something new if you actually need something, or if you really, really want something, without breaking the bank, right? And without adding to the clutter. So the same thing goes again with gifts, I guess. It doesn't have to be something that is very expensive. It doesn't have to be something that is very, in trend, or something that, it can be anything and everything that you are giving, again, with your whole heart. And if the other person accepts it, then it's well and good. And, as I said, and we are taught to accept gifts and thank the other person, whether we use them or like them or not, right? And as I said, I always respect the gift itself to such an extent that I will keep it, even if I can't use it. And then, as I said, in my experience, one day you actually find you can use it. You may think that thing is not working, or it's but it is. One day you'll find out that, oh, it's working, and you'll wonder, why the hell couldn't I get it to work before? And as I said, it's happened with so many things that I own, and that I've bought myself. Forget the gifts. So yeah, but I think people need to start talking less about what they have given to others. I still think that. And I think that it's a very bad form when people talk about things that they've given to others, or when people automatically start thinking negatively if somebody does inquire them out of genuine, sincere feeling as to, oh, did you like that thing, or didn't you like that thing, and all. So I think that if you do not want to create confusions and misunderstandings, just don't talk about these things in the first place. Because it does, as I said, you may talk about something with a pure heart, but you don't know how it may come across. The other person might take it negatively. And as I said, I mean, a person like me and we normally don't talk. Even if somebody else says anything that they want to say, we normally don't talk much. But if needed, as I said, I have realized that because people have decided to let go of their manners, and people have decided that it's okay for them to say anything and everything in front of anybody and everybody, then such people should be replied to. They should be given an answer. Because if they don't know what they should or should not say, then they need they need to be told that they need to they need to be stopped, or they need to be given an adequate reply at least. Because that would, one, resolve an adequate reply would resolve any misunderstandings, but it would also hopefully cut the conversation short, so that it should not be it shouldn't spiral into something completely useless. So yeah, I think that the point here that I'm trying to make with things that you exchange with friends and family is, it's not the value of the things that count, it is the thought that counts. Okay. It doesn't matter if that person has given you a toothpick. You understand? It doesn't matter. Even if that person has given you a toothpick, it counts. It has value. Even if that person, I mean, there are people who will give you, for example, really, really expensive gifts, but you don't have a good relationship with them still. And so you would think, okay, what am I supposed to do with their expensive gifts? It's not like they have ever been there for me when I needed them. It's not like they have ever been there for me in my dark times. It's not like they have ever been my well-wisher, for example. So what am I supposed to do with their, I mean, and because those gifts, everybody can see that those gifts are actually not even gifts, but they are given as a way to show off in front of other people, which again, as I said, in Islam also loses value. Yeah, such gifts are not considered gifts which you give just to show to other people, just to show off in public that, oh, you know what, I can afford such a wealthy gift. You understand? Because that's where it's coming from. It's like giving charity in public just to show off to people that, oh, I'm giving this to people, I'm helping people, when actually you don't normally in your everyday life help anybody or give charity or donate. So yeah, I think if you do not know much about whatever it is that is going on around you, it's better to just keep quiet rather than to make assumptions, and then to have a confirmation bias on those assumptions, and then to move ahead and keep on stressing that, oh no, because I know that I'm right, even though you're actually going to be wrong. And that's why I stay away. I really stay away. If I don't know about something, I cannot even talk about it. I don't know what's going on between two different people, for example. How can I talk about it? How can I give my opinion about it? How can I get involved in it? I don't know, right? And I have no place or say in it. And similarly, I think it helps us as Muslims also, and as decent people. If you just want to be a decent person, I think it helps us a lot to refrain from talking too much, to refrain from getting involved, and to making assumptions, because it can be very dangerous. Making false assumptions can be very, very dangerous, as we have seen in the media and we have seen on a global level. When you create a false narrative and when you create a false assumption and then you create a confirmation bias on that, then how fatal it can be as a consequence. So it can be equally fatal in your day-to-day life. It can break relationships and friendships, especially if misunderstandings keep on and on spruing up due to due to lack of proper communication, or due to a third party misunderstanding something, and getting involved. So I think avoidance is best. As the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, perfection in religion is learning to mind your own business. Yeah. So let's just learn to keep our mouths closed and not get involved in things we have no clue about. And especially when there are friends who are, exchanging gifts, for example, or something. I don't think we should, because it's happened to me so many times as well. So like I have this aunt of mine, my mother's sister. And I remember that once on my birthday as a kid, there was another family relative who gave this weird ass gift, okay? Um, and obviously, out of good manners and everything, I just thanked them, and I wasn't even going to think anything about it. But my mother's sister made it a point to belittle. I don't know who she was actually trying to belittle, but at the end, I think she ended up making me feel belittled, to be honest. And she ended up making me feel embarrassed because she was like, what is this that she's given, this looks like a bed sheet, and or so she had actually given me a suit piece. And well, I mean, obviously it wasn't to my taste or anything, but it's not like I'm going to say anything. I was just going to quietly keep it away and then later on maybe give it to charity or something after some time. But if I could, couldn't put it to any good use. But the fact that my mother's sister made it a point to very loudly, proclaim, her thoughts on this gift. So you see what she literally did. She created a rift between me and the person who gave me that gift, right? She created that bad taste. She created that sense of, excuse me, is that what are they trying to make fun of me, or are they trying to say that, oh yeah, this is the kind of gift I need to get? Are they trying to belittle me? Are they trying to dehumanize me? Are they trying to humiliate me? You understand? So yeah, that peed me off big time, big time. And as I said before, I was the kind of person that I never used to talk much because, well, that's not how we were brought up. Okay, we weren't brought up in the way that the desis here are brought up in the subcontinent, where they think that they can just mouth off anything they like, and then they talk about how they have this very amazing culture where they're taught manners. Well, this is the manners that I have seen displayed in front of me by the desis here, where you are making fun of somebody's gift, and you're making fun of that gift in a way that you're actually telling the whole world that the person who gave you the gift, this is what this person thinks about you. Like, do you think I do not know what the person thinks or does not think about me, number one. And number two, whatever it is, do you have to loudly proclaim it publicly in such a way so that you can create a more intentional or obvious rift, in other words, right? So that was one thing. And then similarly, there was this other time, I've noticed that in Pakistan, people, although they always talk about their manners and they talk about their social etiquette, where they say that, oh, you know what, we never say anything to anybody who gives us gifts, and we always, we don't have this. Sorry, was interrupted once again. It's amazing how only and only when I'm seen on the podcast, that's when everybody remembers to come and tell me something. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so I mean, like, it's not like what was I even saying? Seriously, I thought I knew what I was saying. Hold on. Right. Yeah. So that we don't have this in this bad etiquette in us, where we would, talk about what we've given to others and and we don't complain about what others have given to us, and then they proceed to do the exact same thing. They literally proceed to tell you about how they got something from somebody that at the end they couldn't use, and they got something from somebody that they couldn't use, and they gave somebody something that was so amazing, and then they gave another person something that was so amazing, and then they come and say, oh, you know what, even so and so person that that you're very close to, even they give that something to us, and it was completely useless. And I'm like, excuse me, I mean, I thought you said it was against your manners and your culture to talk about people who have given you things, and to talk against the gifts and all, because you are taught to respect gifts, and then you proceed to do just that. Seriously, I value every single gift that I have gotten from every single friend of mine, whether it was a handmade picture frame, or it was a handmade keychain, or it was a handmade jewelry, or if it was, just a 100 rupee little, wobblehead, those wobbleheads that we, or bobbleheads, which we used to stick onto our car dashboards and see their heads just bobble around. Yeah. Or if somebody has given me even a 50 rupees little gift, or if somebody's even given me a 2,000 rupees gift, it doesn't matter to me. Seriously, to me, a gift is a gift, and all I see is the intention behind it. I don't see the actual financial monetary value of the gift itself. And I'm never going to sit and tell somebody that, oh, this person gave me this thing that was so useless. And as I said, I do get things that for example, I get makeup, and despite the fact that I very, very nicely tell those who give me makeup and gifts that, listen, I don't use makeup, so it's kind of wasted on me. Much rather you give it to somebody who does makeup. They would enjoy it at least. But still, guess what? I have makeup that I don't use at all. So then what do? I use it on my mother. Yeah, whenever she needs to get ready, then I bring out my makeup and I use it on her. Similarly, I've got stuff that my mother's given me, or which every time she gives me a gift on my birthday and all, it's jewelry pieces, but I hardly ever get the chance to wear them. And you feel sad. It's not like they're not wearable or they're defective or anything. They're extremely, in fact, whenever I do get the chance to wear them, people literally ask me, where did you get this from? These are such good pieces, because obviously it's not like she's going to give me something bad, right? She will always find the best stuff she can. And again, monetary value doesn't even matter. The fact that you're wearing something and everybody's even asking you, oh my god, where did you get this? We want something like this, where did you get it? I think that in itself tells you the actual value of the item that you're using, regardless of its actual monetary value. So monetary value is of no concern. What matters is the actual value of the gift that you're receiving or giving. Right? And as I said, that is actually why I do not like to take things from people, because I seriously cannot go through that. When I see how typical Pakistanis, when they talk about such things and when they make such a big deal and fuss about it, while all the same time saying, oh, we're not those kind of people, it really makes me think that why would I even want to go through all that? Seriously, why would I want to go through the fact that I am, for example, having a good time with my friend and exchanging gifts with that friend, and then a third person comes along and tries to, or with my family, and a third person comes along and tries to belittle any one of us, because you don't even know who they're trying to belittle. Seriously, when they start talking negative about the exchange of gifts, or when they start talking negatively about the item itself, or about the actual taking or giving of it, they put such a bad taste to the whole thing, as I said. And the way they say it is as if they know what they're talking about, but most of the times they don't even know what they're talking about, but they have to sit and argue with you and prove that, oh no, we know what. And the more they argue, the more they just prove they don't know what they're talking about. It makes you feel that, why are you even going through this in the first place? Why is this happening in the first place? Yeah. And this is why despite the fact that Islam encourages giving and taking of gifts, I personally do not encourage it in my life. I do not encourage people giving me anything. I would much rather just give them, because as I said, when I give somebody something, I completely forget about it. Even if they're standing in front of me wearing that thing, using that thing, I have no clue. Seriously, I become as blind as a bat. I don't even remember what I've given people, and I don't even want to remember. That's the key point here. I do not want to remember. And as I say, for your peace of mind, you also, I think, people, you need to learn to forget whatever it is that you've given people, okay? And if you remember what it is that people have given you, remember it in a good way, or else don't even remember that at all. Seriously. As I said, we all get gifts that we don't get to use, but we just keep them quietly, right? Why? Because, okay, they're gifts. What else can we do? It's not like we're going to return them or tell the other person, oh, again, unless you're extremely close and comfortable enough with the other person to say it, and they wouldn't mind it if you said it, because the way you would say it is also not going to be offensive. They would know that you're literally just making a statement. But if you're making it a point to constantly say, oh, that thing that you gave also didn't work, and that thing that you gave also didn't work, and at the end, sometimes you want to just tell them, okay, take everything out, show it to me, and I'll show you one by one how it works. Why? Because I actually made sure that it worked before I gave it to you. Yeah, that's why. So, yeah. So I've seen this in my, amongst my relatives, and I've seen this amongst certain people around me, where they do this all the time, you know. Oh, this person gave this thing and it was of no use, and this person gave this thing and it was of no use, and this person gave this thing and it was of no use, and I gave this thing, it was so amazing. And then when you go to the other party, they're like, oh, that person gave me this, and it's of no use. So if you're both giving each other things that are of no use, stop giving things to each other. That's all I can say. Stop giving things to each other if you're both giving things to each other that are of no use. You know, I actually wanted to make some very, very pertinent statements with regards to gifts and you know, but at the end I ended up just saying everything else but those particular statements, because I can't even for the life of me remember them now, because I've been distracted and interrupted at least 3 times during this podcast. But I mean, I hope everybody gets the gist. I hope everybody gets the idea. Stop dissing people, okay? Stop dissing the sentimental value of the gifts that you receive from people, okay? And stop making a fuss out of everything, and stop involving other people also in such things, because it doesn't make sense. And stop making assumptions on your own on relationships between other people, you know. And as I said, I know that many people probably don't even think of it that way when they're talking to them. They're probably just saying things, you know. But sometimes it is better just not to say anything at all. I guess that is why the Prophet, peace be upon him, usually said that you know what? Silence prevails all. I mean, mind you, I'm always paraphrasing the Prophet, peace be upon him's words. I'm never quoting him word for word unless I actually tell you that I'm, you know, so when I say these are usually paraphrasing, okay? Please use common senses, please. I know common sense is not very common, but let's just try to make that common. Yeah, common sense, please. That is that the Prophet basically was stressing the importance of silence over talking rubbish. And this here I would quote him is that if you have nothing good to say, then do not speak at all. Yeah, this I quote word for word of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Yeah, if you have nothing better to say, right, just shut up. Okay, and this is my way of putting it. This is how I would say it. Okay, I think that it sometimes, because I've noticed that the more you talk, the more you try to clear something, the more it gets entangled. Have you also noticed that? You're literally not even trying to say something bad. You're literally just trying to clarify a point. But the more you try to clarify the point, the more somehow it just gets entangled, and the more the whole thing gets derailed. You know, might as well not even try. Seriously, that has been my personal experience too. And when I see my friends around me also attempt that and see it go very badly, you know, I'm thinking, oh my God, they shouldn't even do it. I shouldn't even do it. They shouldn't even do it, because the more I see them also try to clarify, I mean, if they're doing it in front of me, that's fine, because I understand. I actually have the common sense to understand what exactly they're trying to do. They're trying to just clarify things, and they're trying to say that, oh, this, you know, it's fine, because I don't even take things negatively, to be honest. I try to take things exactly the way people are trying to say something to me. I literally try to understand exactly what it is that that person is trying to tell me. But if you're not talking to a person like me, and if you're talking to people in general, in anybody else, then please refrain, literally refrain, because this is my own experience, as I've said. The more we try to explain ourselves, the more it just gets worse. Yeah, it's like we just wasted all that energy and all that breath, and we still didn't get that essential key point that we were just spending all this energy and time to get out or to get through, you know. Yeah, people are going to think what they're going to think. Don't take things too seriously, and don't stress yourselves, and especially do not allow people to make you think that the gifts that you have received or that you have given are inferior, because it's not the monetary value that counts. It's you're the value of the giver and the taker. That It's their value, it's their relationship, it's their hearts, it's their minds, it's their sentiments. That is the value, not the value of the product. That doesn't matter at all. It really doesn't matter. I mean, I don't care. Nobody would care if it's you. All you will care about is the emotions, the sentiments behind it. You understand the feelings behind it, the sincerity behind it. So yeah, stop dissing people on their gifts, please. Not even as a joke. I have seen so many people just complain about the gifts that they get and rave about the gifts that they've given. And then, as I said, you go to the other person, the other party, and they are complaining about the gifts they got, saying that, oh, so the person that just raved about his own gifts quality, like the person who received that is now is complaining that, oh, they've just given me this thing that I couldn't even use. So a gift is just a gift, okay, whether you use it or not, whether you can, although it's always nicer to have something you can use, but you know what, at the end of the day, a gift is just a gift. That's it. It's just a token, okay? It's just a token. It's a token of your sentiments. That's it. And it shouldn't be anything else. And 40 minutes into this, and I still don't know if I've actually put my point across. Okay? Let me try to summarize it. A gift is a gift. It's just a token. It's all about your sentiments and your emotions. Please don't try to diss gifts, and don't try to talk about people who have given you gifts or who you've given gifts to in such a way that can make anybody else think that you are being negative, even though you may not be negative. Okay, so refrain from even talking about that, especially if it is something negative that you're going to say, like it didn't work or I can't use it or this and that, right? And number two, don't try to explain yourselves, because the more you try to explain yourself, the more you try to, clarify things, the more things can go wrong. Again, as I said, especially if you're not talking to me. If you're talking to me, go explain yourself away. But in my experience, even if I talk to that same person who I've just understood, they will still not understand what I'm saying, and they will still go into a panic mode maybe and think that, oh, I'm saying something that, no. Okay, just like how when you're saying something to me, it's just meant to be understood and to, just to clarify things. That's how if I'm saying something to you, it's just meant to diffuse the situation and to just put a full stop to it. Okay, so yeah, so don't spend energy and time trying to clarify yourself, because the more you try, the worse it gets. Okay, right. And number three, refrain from talking about things that you're not exactly sure about. Refrain from making assumptions, and refrain from thinking that your assumption is right. Refrain from confirmation bias. There we are. I've summarized it all. And this is me signing it out. Khuda Hafiz.